Welcome back, guys, or if you're new to my channel, this is Automotive Anonymous. That's my 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness. I've actually owned it for 3 years now. This is going to sound funny, but it's actually the longest I've ever kept a vehicle. It was the second Subaru that I've ever owned. Prior to this, I had a 2019 Crosstrek for 2 years and 40,000 miles. And since then, we've added another Subaru to the family, a 2025 Forester for my wife. But this has been my daily driver, at least for the most part, for the last 3 years. During the time of ownership, which I actually bought this about a year before I started my YouTube channel, I also had an LS1 powered full bolt-on Pontiac Trans Am. And then for about a year and a quarter, I had a 2023 Miata. So with the exception of maybe 25 to 30,000 miles on those fun cars, and then however many thousands of miles I've put on my wife's daily driver in the amount of time, this has basically been my daily driver for 3 years now, which the longest I've kept a vehicle before this was only a little bit over 2 years. So why have I kept this one longer? What do I like about it? How has the ownership experience been? What can you guys potentially expect if you're gonna consider buying a current generation Outback? And then how much have I spent, or more importantly, how much have I lost in 3 years of owning this vehicle? Let's get into all of that today. But with that said, if you guys like anything you see today, please consider liking this video. Comment your thoughts and opinions below, subscribe if you haven't already, and with that said, let's get right into the remainder of this review. So first of all, let's get into one of the more exciting bits of this. Let's talk about the cost of ownership. Thankfully, I was able to pay for this in full when I bought it. It was a little bit over $40,000, so there's not been any interest paid on it at all. But after about 36 months, it was around $41,000. As of today, trade-in is maybe $27,000 for very good condition, and private party is probably about 31. More realistically, I think it's going to be on the lower end of that spectrum, because who has, like, most normal people don't have 30 plus grand to just drop on a used vehicle. Most people are going to be buying a vehicle that expensive from a dealership, and it's hard to get loans, especially without insane interest rates on used vehicles. So realistically, you're kind of limited on where you're selling it to. So probably lost about $13,000 in 3 years on this. Insurance is about $70 a month, maybe a little bit less, but around that, or at least I'm going to round up. So 36 months of that is just over $2,500. And then I have about 42,000 miles on this. I'm just speculating that the average miles per gallon is about 26, and the average cost per gallon is probably about $3.80. So that's a little bit over $6,100 in gas, or the total ownership cost that I have had, because I haven't had any legit repairs or actual issues with this, it's a little bit over $21,000, or about $138 a week. And when you put it into numbers like that, at least weekly, or basically $20 a day, that actually sounds like a lot more money than I thought I was spending, or a lot more than I thought I was losing on owning this Outback for 3 years. I don't imagine many people would be paying less than about the 70 bucks a month for interest on theirs, but something that I really do like about the Outbacks is that there's quite a variance in how much you pay for the upfront cost. You could get one for about 30 grand, a base model that has all the safety features and all the things that you really need in a safe, family, functional vehicle, or you could be getting all the wants like a Touring XT with all the luxurious features and the turbo engine for maybe about $45,000. And then depending on how much you're actually driving, how much gas is in your area, maybe you could be spending or losing as little as $14 or $15 a day. Maybe it could be even higher than what I'm spending. But overall, for what you're getting out of this vehicle, I guess that's just what you're going to be paying for a good, reliable, brand new vehicle in the modern era. So around $7,000 a year is probably what you could realistically consider budgeting if you want to have a vehicle like this. And then after 3 years, has it exceeded, disappointed, or met my expectations? I would say it's probably met them or maybe exceeded them. I had pretty high expectations because prior to this, I had a couple brand new Tacomas and I had the Crosstrek, and I really haven't had any problems with any of those. So for a brand new vehicle, I wasn't expecting to have any issues, and I haven't had them with this. The main thing that I can point out that I don't like about this, which I mostly notice in the quiet of the morning when I'm driving to my physical therapy job, is there is a creaking noise somewhere on the roof. I'm assuming it's back here, the corner driver's side of the sunroof, probably related to having the sunroof. It's not super bad. You don't notice it that much if there's music playing, but it is getting just a little bit annoying. Otherwise, there aren't really any creaks on the dashboard, the door panels, anything else, so it has held up relatively well overall. And driving something like a Subaru, like an Outback with Snowflake Mountain Peak grade tires in the winter is basically a cheat code. So again, there's about 42,000 miles on those Yokohama Geolandar tires, and let's see how much tread we still have. About 6 30 seconds. or about a 1/6 of an inch, a little bit over that. So actually not too bad, because usually 40,000 miles is basically when I've had to replace my tires on every other vehicle I've owned. But I haven't had to replace them or really worry too much about that yet. And I'm probably not even going to have to replace my tires on this while I own it, because a lot of you guys have commented below that you have had over 60,000 miles on your stock Wilderness tires, for those of you who drive it much more than I do. And I personally am not planning to keep this for more than 60,000 miles, just because I like having a powertrain warranty. I've had way too many problems with my first couple cars that I think that's kind of scarred me and traumatized me for why I trade vehicles every few years. It's kind of my big splurge in life, is just to spend a lot to have a safe, reliable new vehicle every few years. But having to keep it reasonable, obviously a $70,000 truck, I don't use it, it's out of the question. But a $40,000 loaded out, super safe, capable Subaru, I like driving stuff like this. I really don't have any regrets in purchasing this, even with how much money has been spent to maintain it. It's just such a good vehicle, and an Outback being basically a legacy sedan that's extended into the wagon and then lifted and extremely capable is kind of the ultimate car. I've driven a few hundred vehicles on my channel, a lot of Subarus, a lot of other crossovers, but a lot of completely different vehicles, trucks, performance cars, and other SUVs, and these are just one of the best riding, smoothest vehicles that I have ever been in. Never driven a Bentley or any luxurious stuff of that scale that costs as much as a house, but anything under $60,000 or $70,000, there's very few things that actually ride as smoothly as a Subaru on good tires with a lot of sidewall. But there's so much to offer when you have one of these. You have huge back seats, you have a lot of room. Personally, I would love to go back to a Toyota Tacoma. For some reason, those just speak to my heartstrings, both how small the back seats on those are, even the new 4th generation Tacoma, which is a little bit better. I don't think I can actually justify that like I was kind of considering when I mentioned that in my last video. And there's just so much extra cargo space, over 33 cubic feet back here, that it just makes life easy, because you really don't have to plan ahead a lot. You just drive the Outback and you can do a lot of things. You can haul a lot of people and a lot of stuff, and you can do it reliably, safely, and you just know what you're getting into. There's not a lot of sacrifices or surprises with a vehicle that's this refined. And any of the day trips, road trips, nighttime driving I do with this, it is just such a joy to drive. On camera, that daytime running light is flashing. It's not actually flashing in person. And I do have an off-site LED upgrade, which if you want an LED light upgrade on any of your vehicles, you can get 20% off with code Anonymous from their website. It's an affiliate link. But otherwise, this has just been such a joy to drive. And now that we have another Subaru in the family, I don't feel like we necessarily have to each have a Subaru. If anything replaces this, it would have to have bright LED headlights, be a top safety pick plus, be a lot of those things that I love about the Subaru, and having a very competent, advanced all-wheel drive system. But now that my wife has a Forester, and that can be our day trip, road trip, winter vehicle, I feel like I can be a little bit more adventurous in what I change my Outback for. Again, when the warranty's up, so it'll probably be gone within the next year, but there's definitely gonna be a couple more update videos on it, I would imagine. So I am kind of interested in the new 6th generation of the Toyota 4Runner, but I'm worried that those are gonna be astronomically expensive, and I'm not sure that they're gonna be that much better than the current 5th generations, because a lot of 5th gen 4Runner owners have sold theirs for Subarus. In fact, whenever I go to the local dealership to get some vehicles for reviews, there's always half a dozen 4Runners there sitting on the lot, it seems like. I'm actually kind of interested in maybe the new generation of Tesla Model Y, either the long-range all-wheel drive or the performance. I know I don't typically like EVs, at least they're not my favorite. They're kind of soulless. You don't get as much driving experience out of them. But I kind of want a change. I kind of want just to experience something new and provide a different insight on that. I would always continue to drive and review a lot of Subarus, and there'll be a lot more videos on our 2025 Forester. But I do have a 240 volt EV charger in that garage that I had installed about a year ago. There's a video on that installation if you're interested. And so I might consider one of those just for an electrical Tesla change to see what all the hype is. I've actually spent quite a bit of time in my brother's Model Y Performance. He's had it for over 3 years and it has been a good car. There's a few other things I'm considering. Again, I really would love a Tacoma, but I just don't think I can do that. They're overpriced, the back seats are useless, and they're about 2 or 3 feet longer than an Outback. So for being a less capable vehicle in most aspects or regards, it's just tough to beat a Subaru. So of course I am still interested in what the 7th generation of Outback will look like. And I do want clarification in a few months if there will be a Baja, because that probably would be my first choice. But otherwise, I'm not sure what the next vehicle will be. It'll be something comparable to this, but it might be electrical powered. I do kind of like the RAV4 hybrids or the Primes, but the all-wheel drive system just isn't as good, and I don't know that I necessarily want to have to switch on and off winter tires like Blizzaks, or keep an all-terrain tire on all the time on something like that because its all-wheel drive system just is not as good. So anyways, I guess we'll see what happens. So ultimately, thus far anyways, I have really enjoyed my experience as a Subaru owner. And for daily driving Subarus for the last 5 years now, I never actually expected that I would switch from Toyota trucks or something similar to that to Subarus. But I have no regrets. They're one of the best vehicles I have ever driven, hence why I like to drive so many of these and make videos of them for you guys. So with that said, if you are considering one of these, definitely test drive a couple, but also test drive the rest of the competition. Make sure that you're actually buying the right vehicle for you, because these aren't for everyone, but they are for a lot of people. A lot of people do seem to like these and appreciate them, and I'm a big believer in them. I've heard stories firsthand about Subaru safety and how they hold up in accidents. I've obviously watched the crash tests, and I'll overlay another one right here for you guys, but they're just a really good vehicle that emphasize function over form. They might not look the best. I don't think they look bad personally, but they do what they're supposed to do, and they do it really well, and there's not a lot of compromises when you do buy a Subaru. And in today's market, they're one of the few relatively affordable vehicles. They might not keep their value as well as a Toyota, but I think you're gonna have a better ownership experience for a lot of aspects of what you are actually buying a family vehicle for. And with that said, comment your thoughts and opinions below. Like this video if you got anything out of it. Subscribe if you haven't already and you wanna watch more of my videos. And until next time, I wish you guys the best. Hope you take care. See ya.